Hi all, this is Dr. J coming to you live from Eastern Long Island, where it's been a cool but really nice summery day, and the markets performed beautifully today with the S&P making a new all-time intraday high. Let's hear it for the S&P 500. It's one of those lagging indices, and Athx has been out in front, and it's the Dow's turn to make new highs stemming back from January. So with the S&P having finally made its new high, that's 2 down and 1 to go. There's also been some interesting developments in some of the biotechs. CVM is a stock we haven't talked about, but it's a breakout stock. And I thought that we should at least be aware of that and one to watch. Its head and neck cancer data is due to be released shortly. And there's a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz around that one. It's had a big run, but maybe we'll chart that one tomorrow and take a look at it. But today, I want to talk about Facebook, Gern, and Athx. Gern has also been a little bit of a breakout stock, coming up from lows of $3.15 not too long ago to close at $4.15 today, or $4.16, I think. We'll look at the chart there. Facebook was our focus stock of the day yesterday. We called for a swing trade, and I think it's still a viable swing trade candidate, as well as an opportunity to get in for the long term. So I'm bullish on Facebook. I'm also bullish on a few other biotechs that we've talked about. We're going to show the chart today of Athx, which had a little update today, 3.5 cents, something like that. As well as also bullish on Oncosec Medical, which sold off today, and on Actinium Pharmaceuticals, which was flat today. So those are the 4 biotechs that I'm most bullish on of the baby bios. I call them the baby blue stocks, blue chip stocks. So let's take a look at the charts that I have prepared for today, and we can get a better idea of where these stocks are going. Share screen takes us to the charts. Okay, so let's look at Gern first, which has had a beautiful chart breakout today above its upper trend line. If indeed it continues along its upper trend line, it will at 9/11 be at about 441, something like that. Another chart I had prepared earlier last week showed 9/11 450. So somewhere around 444 to 450 would be a very nice target for 9/11. Why 9/11? Well, that's 2 days before 9/13. Well, what's significant about 9/13? Well, I'm doing a lot of wells, but Johnson & Johnson is having an investor conference on not 4/13, on 9/13, on September the 13th, Thursday. It's not an unlucky day. And they're going to talk undoubtedly about their potential blockbuster drugs, and imetelstat has always been featured on that list. So if they don't talk about it, that means, in effect, that there's a negative decision on continuing with imetelstat. If they do talk about it in a positive framework, that would mean there's a positive decision. However, obviously, they're not going to wait until 9/13 to tip the scales. So I expect the announcement to be made 9/11 or 9/10, and it will probably come from Dr. Scarlett, CEO of Gern Corporation. So expect the continuation decision to come out Monday or Tuesday of the week of the investors conference. So it would be September 10th or 11th. So expecting really good news it would skyrocket the stock upwards, probably above $5 by the time 9/13 rolls around. So that's why I have this arrow here, a bit of optimism on my part. Of course, do your own due diligence. There are a lot of shorts expecting Johnson & Johnson will walk away. They could be right, although I don't think so. There's been a lot of hype around imetelstat on the part of Janssen, J&J, and for them to walk away now would be a bit of a letdown for some of their investors. So let's hope that they're rah-rah on the 13th, rah-rah imetelstat, and our rah-rah Gern collaboration. So here's to a continuation decision that's affirmative. Let's think positively. Let's ride Gern all the way up. I think those long-term investors deserve that kind of a ride. Back to 70. Remember when it was 70? I do. I owned it back then. I also started to sell it on the way down. Anyway, that's another story. In any event, if you look back at the history of Gern, you'll see it was one time a $70 stock. Let's look at a chart of the S&P because it's in record-breaking territory. Okay, so here it is today. It hit a high of, where is it? It hit a high of, that doesn't look right. Let me just refresh this. Well, it closed way off its high at 2862.96. 2872, I believe, was the high. And let's see how far it got, the old high. It got to 2873.23. So it broke it by $1. Look, it still counts. $1 counts. I don't like that it formed a gravestone or an inverse hammer on the day, but we'll take the good news as opposed to concentrating on the bad. It's been trading well above a nice ascending trend line. So even if it pulls back to that trend line, it's still on an excellent path upwards, I believe. And the same is true for the Dow. It had a very decent day today, although it gave back a little at the end. Let's just take a look. The Dow is trading between its descending and ascending trend lines. Let's see if it can make some progress. It is inching up. It's been inching up for a long time, up 63 at the close, and very good. It seems to be straddling the upper trend line today. So that's good news. At this rate, it will eventually get to 26,600. Let's see about when. About the end of October. Hopefully it'll be quicker than that. All it has to do is break this trend line and we'll get there quicker. So I'm looking for it to get there quicker. See what happens on the Dow. Also, we wanted to look at the chart of Facebook. Facebook is trading actually in a little channel here that goes back to February. So it's trading, and the upper channel goes back to February. The lower channel goes back to March, late March. And it's been trading lately between these two trend lines. So it's at the lower end of the trend line. My reasoning being it's a good trade because if you get in at the open at about 172, then you put your stop very tight, maybe at 168, and you don't even bother with a take profit. You take profit whenever it reaches the upper, bounces near that upper trend line. Or if you like, for a quicker trade, you could take profits up around 180. So 172 figure to enter, 172.50. Take profit conservatively at 180. Stop loss, very tight, maybe 170. Like always, consult with your investment advisors or advisor before making any investment decisions. I'm only voicing my own opinions, not the opinions of anyone else. I always have my own opinions for better or for worse. And half of the time it seems like they're for worse. But I like to think a little bit better than half of the time they're for better. So that's really all you need in the stock market, is to be right more often than you're wrong, and to sell, what's the expression? Buy low, sell high. I believe in that. All right. Let's just look at Athx, and we'll call it a day. Athx, I kind of got carried away drawing trend lines. I drew them into the future, trying to project where Athx is headed if it continues this trend of a stepwise up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Notice the parallelism between these trend lines. So if it continues in this parallel fashion, estimating the downward moves to be very small, it would make the 250 level at about 1010. So October 10th, we can celebrate at 250 for those that are long Athx. It's a modest target because this thing can jump with news. And if it without news, I think we're still on the ascent going up. So with or without news, I think this is a reasonable guess as to where Athx is heading. 250 by October 10th. And CBM, I don't have a chart for CBM, but I think maybe it's worth looking at it anyway. Let's just put it in real quick. Overlay it here. This is the NASDAQ chart, but I really want CBM. I don't know. I guess I need the home page. Not that. We don't want to play chess. That's silly. We want to just see a quick chart of CBM. Okay, Yahoo Finance. I believe their drug is called Multikine. I used to be in CBM a long time ago, in and out many times actually through the years. It looks like it caught my interest with this big move that it made. So it's worth giving it a look. I didn't study the chart. I'm going to be looking at it for the first time with you guys. CVM. I think it's just, we're going to look at the chart and just say, wow, and call it a day, probably. All right, full screen on that chart. Oh boy. Yeah, this is some move over the last 2 days, actually. Yesterday was a wild ride up and then down. Today was nothing but green. Oh, that was 7-9 was nothing but green. Oh, we're in a weekly chart. Whoops, let me change that. Daily chart. Oh, much better. Here we see the ascending trend line. It's a beautiful ascent. Today is a breakout day. It looks for sure like it's going to take out the high, the high of 180. I mean, it's only 20. It could take that out at the open tomorrow with the Momo that this one has. Closed at 160, but it hit a high of 169. You might get a little pullback if you're thinking of you want a little action. This might be a good one. Instead of going all the way to Atlantic City or Vegas, this might be easier action to pick up a few bucks. All right, let's go back so that I can say bid you a formal adieu. Stop screen sharing. And it's been a pleasure chatting with you as always. I hope you had a successful trading day. I hope you have many successes in the future. I hope Gern and Athx are amongst those successes. That would make Dr. J very happy. As I said before, I do have a large position relative to my rest of my portfolio in these two highly speculative stocks. It's one man's opinion. I do have a request that besides checking with your investment advisors, please subscribe to my channel. I bid you all adieu, sayonara, shalom, hasta luego, bye all.